This conference will now be
Citizens'
recorded.
Comments. Please state your name, address.
Mary Lee Kearns, 5 Stafford Avenue, Goodsboro. Request from my husband, and I wanted to go through proper channels. There is a no parking sign at the property we bought at One Bella as you go around the curve. You just like it moved down towards the curve stop. It's kind of right by the mailbox in the driveway. Which there used to be retaining wall there, but this retaining wall fell this winter and we kind of regraded. I'm afraid. One of us is gonna back into it.
You want to move back closer to the curb.
Closer to the curb. No hurry, not in the heat, no rush, just
Time's up.
Get it done
purposely
tomorrow.
like it to be.
Get it done tomorrow.
Yeah, it might not, it won't be done
No,
tomorrow.
no,
Thank you,
I
Susan.
just didn't, you know.
You said moved, not moved.
Right. No, just moved.
New location.
It's kind of right by the mailbox. We had to put a mailbox
Yeah.
at the road because I guess Mrs. Eichelberger was grandfathered in and had it on the porch.
Yeah.
Kind of really close now, because you have kind of the mailbox right there. Mailbox over here?
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you,
that's
Susan.
an easy one.
I kept forgetting to ask my husband.
I think you should.
Hey,
I wanted him to come in and ask.
Hi, Eric. So Brian Smith, 107 Maple Avenue. Back again today for our favorite subject, Dean South. Asking again, is there any way to improve communication on what's going on? Is there a way to get an overview or timeline of the construction that's going to happen? And just what is going to happen, right? And who's responsible for what's going to be there? Came home the other day, had some new stakes in the ground. I think Drew's going to try and come out tomorrow and explain 2 new sewer stakes, right? They're there. Not sure what it was. It actually says a new sewer line. Are they putting in a new sewer line?
Yeah. Yeah, they put a brand new one right down the middle of the road.
Well,
That Canadian Circle.
Okay, but is it going to go right? Is it going to be right behind our property?
Yes.
So the existing one's going to be dug up. And there's going to be new.
Yeah, they've been putting new ones in there, yeah.
So I wasn't in the office today, but what Greg texted me was the finish of the last sewer tie-in today, and the paving should be very soon after.
Okay, but that's it. Yeah.
Okay, well, but that's their circle. What about that 20-foot right of way from the edge of our property to the edge of the new development? That's where there's a stake. right?
Yeah, I just saw where they were actually trying to tie into the existing. I thought that's what you were talking about.
No. So that's the question. I texted Drew and asked him, he was gonna come out today, I wasn't home, so. But it's just trying to understand what, and it's another one of those situations, right? You show up, see 2 stakes. The one I think is actually inside, I haven't strung a line between the 2 property markers, but it looks like it's inside the property line of where it would be, right? So just trying to understand that.
This is the portion that is Mr. Draper's or Richmond American Homes, right? It's not
Yes.
town property, right?
Yes.
So you want us to communicate to you what Richmond American Homes is doing?
Just somehow to understand what the timeline's gonna be, what we're dealing with, right? What, all the different things that are going on. If it's not a town issue, who can, pull the town? You got a dozen people that are impacted around there, right? And I think it'll alleviate a whole lot of stuff if somebody knows what's happening. And I know there's been a bunch of people complaining, I know some people told keep their mouth shut, whatever, whatever it is that may be. I've heard that there was, I'll just come out and say it. Matt Kim called or we texted and said that he had been told to keep his mouth shut about it, quit calling in, complaining. I understand there was a request, wanted to know why he didn't mow behind, why he hadn't been keeping the weeds up behind his house. So I think there's a little bit of a personal beef going on with somebody in the town and him. The other thing he said, he thought someone was coming inside his gate to put a marker. I don't know. I told him, Matt Ford, 105, I guess is his address, right? So I just know what all's going on with that. He had a chance to come, he didn't speak to it, I'm just mentioning that. No one has said a word to me about it, right? We have maintained, and back to the 20-foot section behind our house that now we found out was right for Richmond American Homes. We've maintained for 20 years, keeping the weeds down. I've heard people complaining now about the Johnson grass, right? that on that property line that's back there, there's Johnson grass 6 foot high. That's what, a noxious weed or something, supposed to be controlled, it's going to see, who's responsible for all that?
Right.
Okay, yeah, so that's, it's one of those things, who's doing what, and that's where, is the town to go between, who do we talk to, right, same thing. You know, it's like, right now, you know, dealing with the dust, the dirt, everything else that's going on. You know, got a mud puddle, but cover on the pool, you know, the mud puddle after the rain. We're dealing with all that. So, just, is there a way to kind of say, here's our timeline, here's what's gonna happen, when it's gonna happen? And if it comes from them, it comes from them. But somehow, so we know, right, there's 4 or 5 of us impacted, you know, people in Canoe Circle probably impacted some. The other morning, I know there was a hole back there in the road or something.
Yeah.
Somebody on his motorcycle or something back there. Right?
There is.
Well, Don, if I may, or what, the guy I'm ready to come and talk to, we talk about this stuff extensively every month in the planning.
Okay.
And I know everybody can come to every meeting.
Right.
I get that. And we also know we've been a little behind on the amendments, which Rachel's taken some steps to correct that.
Okay.
But I do happen to know about Matt Ford calling in here, and he was out of line.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've known Matt since he's a little kid. So I called him up and said, Matt, you can't call in and curse out the town plan.
Oh, no.
It's not gonna do you favors.
Yeah.
So that.
But I heard that this is something I think happened. We were out of town last week. So, you know, I don't know what happened in that period of time. We weren't there. But I do know that those 2 stakes showed up and just trying to figure out what they are. Because, you know, you see new sewer line, I'm thinking,
Are you questioning whether they're on somebody's property or if they are on Richmond's property? You just don't know.
I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Right? I don't know exactly where the boundary is, right? I guess, you know, I'm gonna go.
Because you all used to mow out for so far, and now.
Yeah, we moved the whole way back to wherever the planting stopped, right? They never planted over the sewer
Gotcha.
line, right? So there's our property line.
So they could be in the right location, you're just not sure.
Just not sure,
wanna get
but
some
from where the
clarification.
other states are, it looks like it's not a straight line. So it looks like it's. And it's the question that's on the market. There's 2 signs, give distances, and one, it says new sewer line. So what's is the new sewer line, I'm not sure why they do that.
Yeah, it makes me wonder.
Wouldn't they be required to put that, what's it called, that?
The silt fence.
Thank you.
Well, they end up putting the berm on the line of disruption and all that stuff. That was the last time.
Okay.
You know, same thing there. You know, there was a beef going on with the stuff that Matt had behind his fence. It's, you know, I haven't changed anything at all. I'm still parking my trailer back there. So somebody tells me to do it, otherwise, you know, yeah. Yeah, and, you know, I did check, from the last time we were in, I did call the HOA, I got a board flagged it, asked them to talk to the HOA, someone expressed their interest in buying that strip of land down, right? I'm gonna keep that, make sure it doesn't ever become a right of way or somebody else up there. If I take control of it, I can do whatever. But so that's like a couple years out, so.
Flag been responsive?
Flag it has, yeah, yeah,
So
so,
we are trying to increase the communication. We are left in the dark a lot
Okay.
too, because Mr. Sweeney has been calling and asking Marilee repeatedly when it's gonna be paved. And I assured him that I personally would call him when I knew, but our issue is that Huntsbury was not getting back to us. Huntsbury claimed that there was an issue between the town and the developer. We don't have any issue, so I
yeah.
can't
well,
get anyone to call me back and tell me
It's not
what's
like it.
going
No,
on.
and that's.
But it was my intent to keep you guys informed about the portions that we are in control of, or not in control of, but the portions that impact the town, which would be the paving and the line and
Right.
everything.
Okay.
So
That's the same, I don't know what the protocol is or what should be done, you know, the 2 huge piles of dirt, should they be seeded, should they, you know, because the storm that blew through here Sunday, was it Saturday night?
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday night, and that's, you know, the wind, the rain, the dust, the dirt, you know. I can only imagine what it was like last week, when 100 degrees, so we were in North Carolina, so I don't know, I just know I had mud puddles on the pool.
We got a really hard rain.
It was a rough,
Right.
they got grass growing up there.
About halfway. I think it's just weeds growing from,
Yeah, I kind of.
I don't think it's anything that they've done to affect it. We're doing.
Oh, I noticed when I,
Where I lived, that was Delaware Lane, and the dead behind.
Right.
behind me. And I was on the council at the time, and I bought
same situations you brought up. You know what answer I got? I'll suck it up. Progress.
And that's the, and
That's
the problem.
That's the exact, and I was on the council at that time. I couldn't believe that. the answer I
Right,
got.
well, and I don't, and I said, I don't know what's
I'm
going
not gonna
on.
tell you.
I know there's a personal stuff, right? Somebody said, maybe it'd be between something. Nobody said it to me, and I don't think they would. I don't think they'd say it to me, they wouldn't say it to Wendy. If they're saying stuff to him, that's inappropriate. If it's a town employee talking to a resident, stop it. And
I can't do anything about the stuff unless I know who it is. I know who it
I will
is.
acknowledge it, and I take care of that, or I'll come and with her, I keep it calm, with her, can. So, but that's, I get the text, we try to, keep everything under control, but just if it's happening, it shouldn't be. So. But hopefully Drew can come out.
Hopefully,
and kind of
get, find out where the mistakes
Yeah,
are.
see what the stakes are, what's going on, so we know, just we know what to expect.
I know they're just about finished on that straightaway. Just about, but I've seen them where they were cutting up into the field there.
Yeah.
So I figured they're hooking up that sewer line right in that general area.
Yep. So we'll see what happens. That's all, thanks.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brad. Anybody else? Speak?
Smitty, if I find out anything, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Good, moving on. Workshop business, pass ordinance 2025-03, amendment to fiscal year 2026 budget and tax rate. We had a public hearing, we didn't have anybody speak, making the correction misprint from 66 per EDU for 71.50 per EDU for residential. This is sewer fee, fixed fee. Commercial, 66 EDU for 71.50 per EDU. Does not have any change in the budget whatsoever. It's just a misprint in the very beginning. We'll have a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion that we accept ordinance 2025-03, amending the typo on page 1.
I have a second.
All second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstain, motion carries. Thank you.
Just so everybody knows, Howard, if I may, this is year 3 of the 7-year plan that we worked on a couple of years ago. That's what this is. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to agree with this one.
Employee appreciation.
Hi there.
You want me to do that?
I would love to do that.
So I kind of stole a little bit of Mary Lee's number. She actually sent an email on that. Then about a week or two later, I forgot she sent it, and I sent one that said the same darn thing. So we've had 2 emails recently. Rachel sent one about excellent town staff and laid out several of the folks, how they had to come in off vacation, work late, whatever. Then we had a second incident, and I just thought, we need to do something for all town staff. So I recommended an employee appreciation lunch, a picnic, something. I've already called Mission Barbecue to have it catered possibly. I got some prices. I will foot the entire bill. Mary Lee has since offered that she would help cost share. But since I did that, I didn't sign any contract or anything. I thought about probably
Kim.
Harbaugh's wife.
Yeah,
She did a great job at Willow Gilbert's graduation.
Yeah.
So I would, if Amy thinks so, I mean, I'd like to use her again.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And,
I,
everybody like that, possibly we could do something at the community center. But I'd just like to do something for all staff in the same spirit as the Christmas party. That's just my.
and she can do all variety. She doesn't have to just do barbecue. She can do all kinds of stuff.
Now I was just offering to foot the bill. I wasn't offering to set it up. I thought that would be between you and him.
You let me know and I can get it set up.
Eric, I think that's a great idea.
Christmas in July.
Just have to get with Kim and find out when the pavilions are.
Well, you guys have to let me know what you're looking for too.
Well, you may not, I mean, you want to do it in the pavilion because it could be very, very hot.
That's what I was thinking.
Sometimes
draining
we've
like
done it in
crazy.
here before.
She does a lot of things in crock pots too, so we're gonna have to make sure you have power supply. So that's
Um,
another thing to think about.
I was thinking about the community center just because when we had Phyllis thing in here, I just didn't think it was quite big enough.
That's true.
This would be all employees, including the police department. Employees are employees. Yeah, that's right. Now, I'm not sure how we do the Christmas party. Do we invite spouses? So, I'd be willing to use Raleigh's wife for that. I thought she did a great job.
Yes, she did do a great job.
Probably Hardball's wife has
Oh,
to go
I
take
believe
it.
it.
Not this
No,
Rob.
no,
I think that's a great idea.
I mean, if anybody else has another idea, whatever.
You want to work with Kim and Rachel and Amy and get a date?
Yeah, go do it.
Do you want me to call her and see what she's got available?
Yeah, that's fine.
Like in July, are you looking in July?
Maybe July, August, maybe August. A lot of people's on vacation in July. It doesn't matter when we do it, somebody's gonna be on leave.
Well, in August, you have to make sure you do it before school starts because of the school buses.
So you all think about, you and her think about it, and I don't need to know what menu she's got available.
All right. About how many do you think? How many employees do we have? 21. 21.
Plus, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
30 people.
council members.
30.
Yeah, 30.
Yeah, I think if you attend so many town meetings, you get invited, right? You want to increase participation, right? That's.
Nelson held his hand up.
I'll see you at the Red Bird.
Can I get a second on that?
I'm sure we can give you a job, might not be very good pay, but we can give you a job.
That's good. That sounds very good, Eric. Very good suggestion.
Yeah, thank you, Eric.
So it's kind of Mary Lee's suggestion.
Yeah, but you,
It's a
yes,
suggestion.
yeah.
You take it.
So you all work on that and get back to us. Thank you, sir. Discussion on proposed capital improvement fees.
So at the last mayor and council meeting, I had proposed a resolution that would establish fees for new development that would help cover, infrastructure and staffing and other costs that would arise as a result of the new developments. And, also putting into a capital improvement account so that when the new development would strain on everything, that we would have funding already prepared to help build up infrastructure, whatever would be needed. And you guys had tabled it so that we could visit it further. Drew and I had a meeting set up to discuss it, but I had jury duty, so we didn't talk about it. And Eric had some comments on it and said that, let's go ahead and put it back on the agenda for this month, not expecting to reach any sort of resolution. But just to discuss it further.
Yeah, so, I mean, I won't go over what Rachel said there, I think she pretty well captured it. And she did suggest to also have some participation, a member or two from the BMC, a member or two from planning and zoning, a member or two from the mayor and council, just to kind of hammer this out, come up with some product, bring that product back to the mayor and council for a vote. Tony's got an email there from, I've sent a couple. I just didn't think $1,000 per DU was enough, simply stated. We have $20 million, give or take, worth of CIP. We're never gonna fund that stuff, charging $1,000 per DU. But then I also don't personally think one size fits all. As a matter of fact,
I sent that to the wrong person. I didn't mean to send that to you, sorry. I sent that- It's okay.
that 55 and older residents should not be the same amount as not 55. Year-old residents.
All the developers want to just do 55, you know what I mean?
But they-
Then wouldn't all the developers only want to do 55?
Well,
And older, I mean,
I know, the Vermont gentleman here, he has some 55 and older. Dean South has some 55 and older. The gentleman beside me in Battlefield Estates at one point was all 55 So, but these are things I think we just need to all get together and hammer out. They certainly can't do that in detail here. But, I'm looking to fund almost $20 million worth of CIP over time and to have some other budget ideas, not really related, but not on that
I
topic.
mean, another question now. Charging it to new development, are then the CIP projects supposed to cover what the new development costs and not other projects in the town?
No, that was not my idea, but that's some of the stuff we have to hammer out, because I know the new development, for example, this gentleman here on the wall, not ready.
Right,
They're proposing a special taxing district,
right.
so that goes to what you were saying. And also like your idea, that if a residence has public water and sewer, they're worth more. So I'd like to even discuss taking a little bit of their tax revenue to fund CIP. I've gone through a lot of this stuff, and I just think we need to get together and hammer it out a little bit and let this little work group come up with a product back here. Now, I don't know how we want to reach out to the other commissioners to get a volunteer or two. But I have a feeling one of them's in the audience tonight.
No, he's not on the commission.
No. So, I mean, that's it. That's fair enough, Rachel?
I think it's a good idea. Very good idea.
But we do want to get this done sooner rather than later, because that resolution has the other components in it about the water and sewer models, recovering those fees, as well as the inspection fee.
So can we, do you want to move on with the resolution for the other fees to get them started?
Well, that's
And
kind
then
of why I'm.
Deal with the capital thing, you know what I mean? Because I hate to hold up not moving forward with what we agreed.
I can't disagree with that, and in fact, as far as the water and sewer model fee, since we've specifically listed, that's what we're charging, I believe it's true, Rachel, we have to keep track of that. And once we've recovered that cost, X number of years out, that drops off. We can't keep charging that. Is that not correct?
Because part of the purpose of the fee is to cover
To maintain
the
it.
future, because
Okay.
Well, every time we
that's
change
cool.
the model,
That's
it has
been
to
out.
pay for it.
I've been a fan of how we maintain this, so we should state that in the resolution, that it's covered in its policy. Plus recurring maintenance, yeah.
Wasn't just cover the cost.
Then that way, we don't have to, otherwise we would have to drop it all, that's like an impact fee. We have to-
It was an ongoing.
Yeah, so I'd be in favor of moving on to those other two items, the inspection fee and WRA. If Rachel says so.
I do not think that, so I had proposed $100 per EDU for the inspection fee, and then I found out that Greg was at a lot more out, like, I was basing it off of Greg's time in Dean South, and how much he has to be up there. He was already at a lot more hours than I had factored in, so that $100 is not gonna be enough. So I need to-
Greg and his crew's up there a lot.
Okay.
I need to modify that.
So it's fine with me, if it's fine with everybody else, to go in with a resolution for the WRA and the inspection fee, and then get back to the CIP fee. Now we have to jump on that sooner rather than later, and when is it effective? We already know Dean South is kind of past the point they're done, but Dean North is knocking on the door.
So nothing in our bylaws speaks to resolutions and how much time has to be passed before they can be implemented. Our ordinance is that it's introduced at one meeting and then at another meeting at least 6 days later is when it's passed, and then 20 days later it's effective. So I try to follow that schedule for resolutions, just, but nothing in our bylaws says that we have to have all that time passed for resolutions. So theoretically, whenever we do come up with a revised fee schedule, it could be passed in the same meeting.
Okay. Well, so, I'm talking here. How many mayor and council members are we allowed to have on this 2 or 3 is
We
this?
can have,
Three would be the most.
That's
Three would be, yeah.
So do you want us to pass now, who wants to be on it, or you want us to send out an email, how do you want to do it?
You'll be on it. Tony will be on it. Or it'll be for planning and it'll be for, utilities.
Oh, well, if that's the way you want to do it, then.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's fine, yeah.
So, we can have one more.
well, if nobody else wants to jump up and say that they'll be on it, then I can proceed with you two, and then if somebody decides later they want to join.
I'd like to be on it, but I'll offer to the other 4 first. If any one of them 4 wants to be on it, that's fine. I'll sit back, but, if nobody else wants, I'll, but, leave it open. I'd rather for them 4 to do it, and let them think about it, and see
I
whether
won't
one of
fight
them.
you.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So then, as far as the commissions, you can send an email to the chair of each commission and let them ask for a volunteer or 2 from their commission. That, I mean, I'm just suggesting. So,
I just thought it'd be faster for me to know everyone on each of them.
No,
Do you think it's more appropriate for the chair to reach out?
yeah, I think that,
You interested in being the chairman?
well, I think between Rachel, Tony and I mean, I assume you're gonna be there, I think we'll,
I assume.
I can certainly start, yeah, yes, sir, I can certainly, I've got most of it written on the board upstairs already.
I mean, I certainly help out, but I'm worried.
Well, that's a fair question. Well, I don't think it'll be more than 2 months, I think.
I would think within 2 months we have some answers, and I think a couple meetings a month at least. Depending on availability, I mean, daytime hopefully, because it's just easier than dragging people out at night.
Just put me down.
You know.
Pick a volunteer.
I just have one question though on the other scheduled fees. Once you get Greg's numbers accurate to charge, where does the charter or where does the bylaws state that if the development started on July 1st and we change something on July 15th, does that mean that new fee is not allowed to be imposed? Because I'm just asking, is that a lawyer, attorney question? I don't know. But if we're gonna go through this process and if we're gonna increase the fee, then I want to be able to say that, okay, this is the new schedule. This is when it takes effect. I understand you started July 1 on your project, but you know what? The ones.
I would think it would be whenever the resolution's passed.
Okay, I just want to make sure that.
That would be my
we're not losing any of that
understanding.
revenue just because, so I just make sure we're.
Since it's a resolution, why we have to do this presented?
Just remember, if you were on the other end, you
I know,
don't
we
want
got
surprise.
act- we're gonna act-
yeah,
We're not gonna
Feeling-
just, we're just not gonna
But
do one.
people
one
know
night.
what
It
they're
just couldn't
expecting. You know, you start a project at your house and
Yeah, exactly, and that's why.
then all of a sudden,
that's why I'm
okay, we
asking-
decided
yeah,
to.
that's why I'm
you know,
asking that question.
People be aware.
Well, that's
I
completely.
mean, it's just like Brian, same question, he just wants to be informed, so if we keep the developers along the way, that, you know, we're working on a new schedule fee, and it could impact you 20 days out, I just want you to be aware of it.
Yeah, but I see where Mary Lee's coming to.
Yeah.
Once they add a deck or something like that, so.
Yeah. No, I get it.
But I think maybe we could also tie this to when is the preliminary site plan approved or
Right.
site plan.
Yep.
What part of
Okay.
the process.
Alright.
I think that's something we have to talk about on this little team.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Anything you want to add, Jack? No.
She said she'd let you know if she has to.
Okay. Council and staff updates. I have a couple updates for you. One is a reminder, the Washington County Municipal League chapter meeting will be in Williamsport at the Springfield Barn on Monday, July 21st, 2025. $50 for steak, sides, and crabs. If you don't want crabs, it's $40 for steak and sides. Please let everybody know. I will give you a heads up. They're doing something different this year. They're gonna have karaoke contest. So you may want to make sure you come early, eat. If you want to leave early, I understand why you're leaving early. Unless you want to.
So I hired you singing?
No, sir. No, sir, I am not singing.
All right.
But if crazy Uncle Jimmy gets the mic, look out.
Yeah, now Jimmy, yeah.
But Kim has a sign-up sheet. I've signed up, Tony signed up, Rachel and Kim signed up. So please see Kim. It's got to be turned in by Monday, July 16th at 3:30 p.m.
I will be in Myrtle Beach.
And the other, we have a milestone coming up. This Wednesday, July 2nd, will be 20 years for our police department.
20 years of having our own police
Having
department.
our own
Yes.
Okay, anniversary.
This time, we've had them and
Yeah,
stuff.
so we have this.
Okay, yeah. But this time it continues 20 years at 11:30 a.m. Former Chief Jeff Hewitt is going to supply us with some pizzas from
Oh, Fornos.
Fornos, and it'll be at 11:30 at the police department. Anybody's available July 2nd, this Wednesday. Yeah, so. That's all I have. Anybody else have anything?
I just have a couple updates. We attended, a couple of us here on the council, myself, Mary Lee, Ricky and Ray attended 2 ribbon cuttings, one for Farmhouse Barber and one for 146 Provisions. Thank you for the weather on Friday. It wasn't hot and humid. It was actually cloudy and not so bad. And the other thing that I want to bring up is, I know we've talked about this in the past, about this tagline, better in the borough. And I'm really, I mean, if it's just me, that's fine. Tell me it's just me. But if it's the council's wish that we don't allow this, then we need to stop it. There was a post on the EDC's
That's all this.
Facebook page that has a logo now that says "Better in the Borough," and it's at the top of their post. And I went out and tried El Forno's yesterday, and there's a drink on there. I mean, if it's me, it's me. But if it's something that this council had said they don't want to have happen, then we need to stop it.
Well, I had an EDC meeting, and I brought this up specifically just last Wednesday. And the EDC has no official tagline there, that is the Greensboro Town Alliance. Now, there's nothing official, now, maybe you have something in there, in the scene somewhere, but as far as they're concerned, and I told them, is it from the EDC?
Right up there in the upper left corner.
Where is this from? This from the American Legion?
And also, if I may speak up, the EDC bought a huge box of handouts last year of frisbees, a whole bunch of different things like that that has Better in the Borough.
So
And they
as far
paid
as-
for it.
As far as I can tell, I specifically told them, and they were in agreement that they're not gonna have, they have no official tagline for the town or for the EDC. Now, the Greensboro Town Alliance may very well do that. I don't know what, if there's anything at all.
It's the same people.
Has to look-
I know, but you know what I mean, if the town alliance does it, we really have no control because they're a nonprofit group. I mean, if a business names the same with your drink, you know, I think most of us were just saying, if it's gonna be the official town slogan or motto or whatever, it ought to at least be brought up in a public forum and let people
I personally
comment
agree, right.
and decide if that's what they want before a small group just, you know, I think that's what.
Boothboro or
we were
something like that, I mean,
concerned about, because they didn't want
Foul,
it to
offensive, but
become the official if it didn't go through the
If we
public.
put a sign on, on welcome to Boonesboro, Veteran Borough, I think that's something we need to address. I think if the EDC makes that somehow official and they say they have not, then that will be a concern of ours. That's the BTA, so I don't know.
I thought I saw Town Alliance.
I think it's Town Alliance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the EDC started
Yeah, they started.
Well, I must
Actually,
admit,
it
and I
doesn't
actually
bother
said
me. It don't bother
can you
me.
get rid of?
Tony, can I ask, what is the concern for that?
It's somebody that, a small group of people that's decided that they want to do a tagline for our
Some
town.
hashtag.
No, just
No,
just
not
a
at all.
tagline, a logo, and they just decided to shorten up
The slogan.
Boonesboro to Borough.
I'm
And
more
I
than
just-
aware.
there's
What
nobody
is it about it that is bothering?
We live in Boonesboro, we don't live in the borough. And we've never called ourselves the borough, so to have some, I'll call them outsiders come in and think that, they're gonna be able to change our, everybody keeps saying, keep Boonesboro small, keep it a small town. And then we wanna start with these little,
And it was the EDC that started it.
There was an event that EDC had put that out there, but it's not their official tag. I know they were told, and I've reiterated before. Anything official, if we're to put something on the letterhead, we need to have that come from the council or from a public referendum. But as far as I know, and according to EDC, it's not an official EDC thing. There are entities out here that can name drinks and things, and I don't know, that's something that, I'm not so concerned about unless I see it on the side of the building, something like that. And then it just needs to be something, even though it may not be an offensive thing, but it's something that we're gonna make that like an official tagline for the town, we should all be
Yeah,
involved in
that's
it.
process.
So, but.
and it was Waynesboro that started.
Yeah, Waynesboro.
Waynesboro has their little whatever in the borough thing.
Yeah, it's
It's like-
happening all
Because
over.
that's the first thing they said when they first started talking about
Actually,
it.
the Bergen district.
It's all, yeah, I'm from Western PA.
When they first started talking about it in the borough, I told them, I said, well, you better check, make sure Waynesboro doesn't have a patent or something on it, because Waynesboro, they always have everything in the borough. But. they
So at this
did-
point, anything official, clearly should come from the town council through a proper public, whatever, and let people have to buy it. But as far as and the EDC works for us, and so they should not have an official tag. They're, as far as they're concerned, they do not have one. It is appearing somewhere, and we should reiterate, and I did reiterate to them, that it's not to be an official
I don't
tag.
think the Boonesboro Town Alliance would have started it, EDC didn't.
I'm sure that idea came from.
Yes.
From.
Anyway, I'm
Oh,
done
it's
with it.
just a lot of overlap.
I'm done with it. If you don't want to leave it, that's fine, but if we're not, then we need to stop it.
Well, I'm not sure how we can stop.
Well, I don't know how
what we
you
can do
can
to stop it.
Stop it if it's not, we're just saying it's not the public official
I
slogan.
mean, I hate sacred romance. I don't know how. That's-
Yeah,
I don't know.
I do.
You
I
can
told
stop
them-
it, if it's an
People that
EDC, you can stop
Right.
it, because the EDC is part of
Right,
government.
but this is the town alliance, which is.
Town Alliance is.
Or if Belforno wants to name a drink, I don't know.
I mean, it
Let's
doesn't
wait
bother
and see.
me as much as it bothers others. I just,
Like I
people
said,
ask if
it's
it's our official tagline,
Yeah, drunk in the borough.
I currently know, because there was no vote or public discussion about it, it's just something that kind of started.
Like I said, I've been calling it the borough for years. They don't out to the borough.
And I had 2 comments.
Sure.
I wanted to thank Rachel for her very nice email response. It was very professional. The email we had for the inquiry about the planning minutes. Yeah, that was
I
very,
thought that's
very nice
very
job,
good
very
because in
professional.
fact,
Thank you for getting back and answering that. And then do we have any update on the mini mart and the Dr. D's and where that's gone? I noticed that there was an email asking some questions. I didn't know if it got responded to.
Email because they're almost due.
Okay, okay. the only one I saw the council's comment on was like Friday afternoon.
That's gonna be-
Right, when somebody else does it on Friday afternoon, I would hope they don't expect to get answered until it is Monday. Because,
The big question is, can we do anything about it? Or is our hands tied, or is?
Well, the last one, I think they requested a waiver. That never got answered as far as
This
we
is
know.
just the
I
executive
think,
discussion.
I think.
Yeah,
that's-
that's
Okay,
executive-
well, we better-
that's what our executive session is about.
All right.
So my comment is, not steal Rachel's thunder, Verdant, is that how you said it?
Verdant.
The developer here with the big board, he came and gave a presentation, some of us were there, some weren't. He does now have the 2 dates posted, correct? He had rescheduled those.
Yes.
For the meeting?
Yes, for the reason, one of the original dates was July 15, and that is still good. It's the same date it came back with, from 6 to 8 at the Legion. The second date is August 11, from 6 to 8, also at the Legion. And I would suggest that anyone from the council that didn't hear his presentation should hear the presentation. I'm going to send an email to Dave Conway, Chair of the Planning Commission, to make sure his commission knows about it. I think they should hear the presentation, as well as I'd suggest Tony that he and Lucy should hear the presentation. So, those are the dates.
Well, how did you find that out? Because
I saw some email somewhere out flying around. There's so many of them that we all get. I saw it in some email somewhere.
it needs to be also published in the town.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure whether they have.
He's gotta pay for that.
Are you talking about when Mr. Cost is meeting with the residents?
Yes, yes.
So it's important that that is separate. That shouldn't be on the town meeting calendar. I mean, we can maybe put something on Facebook or something, but he does not, and we don't want it to appear that that is a town matter. That is
So
him
he
wanting
shouldn't
to
even
meet
put it
the
on
residents.
Facebook, but he needs to be told if he thinks people, if he wants people there, he needs to let them, how they gonna know?
I don't know how he's
How
gonna
he's
find
gonna
it,
advertise.
but
He said he would.
I don't know. But,
So would it be wise that all of us don't go out and, attend this meeting?
No, I think we should be there.
You should
Rick.
As long as we don't discuss town business. it's fine.
Yeah.
We're discussing-
But how do you know, I don't, John Q. Public sitting here, I have no idea about it. You hear the next day at the town council, and everybody's out at a meeting that nobody knew anything about. Right? And that's the whole thing, right? And that's back, I don't know how you communicate, I don't know how it gets done, but, what's his reason for doing it? What's he gonna try to do, sway the town folk to do something? But you gotta let everybody know,
He
post
told
it.
us, he told us in that meeting, that he wants to be upfront with everybody of what he's doing, what he wants to get feedback from the town residents, if they like. it,
It's
if
a
they don't.
proposal, it's
It's just a
nothing
proposal. It's
set in
nothing-
vote. Well, then maybe we should somehow put it on, let the
Can you give
residents
him a
know
town
it's now the
mailing
town
list?
sponsored thing, but we want them to be informed of this, that's all.
Can you give him a list of all town residents and mailing addresses and say if you want
You
to
can get
inform
that
people?
from the post office.
He can get that very easy.
Make that suggestion.
What would be wrong with it being put on Facebook? Just, it's an awareness. You as a council are making your residents aware that he is having a meeting.
Right, and we're not
Inform them about
sponsoring
We're
it,
not sponsoring
right, we're
it.
not sponsoring
I
it.
mean, you're doing what I think is your job, is to inform the community, the residents.
Well, if you have this alliance, right, can you put it on there, whatever that is? What Jen Paul does, but the whole Boonesboro thing. There's a couple people out there, but just educate, and communicate, and then let people show up.
Typically, it does come from the government board that is made aware of it and trickles through all of the social media platforms and EDC, anybody that is an organized group
But I
for the
guess,
betterment of the town. That doesn't mean that you are affiliated, but we owe it to the residents to make sure that we do inform, because he is very well spoken and he is a salesman as well.
but I guess the question is, it's not even like proposed for planning or anything, like, You know what I mean? So do we get in trouble if we, you know what I mean? Does that look like we're sanctioning something?
I think you'll get more negative publicity that you've already had a meeting, that you know about it, nobody else does. It's gonna be that whole, all right,
Yeah, you know, we can talk about this in lots of different ways. He said in the meeting that they had the same sort of thing at Newmarket and no one showed up. They're like, oh, if you
But how would they
publicize it,
perform?
maybe they might.
I mean, it can be worded very simple as, we would just like to let the residents know that a potential developer is holding public meetings at the American Legion. Here's the dates. Just simple.
Yeah.
I would just put a disclaimer at the bottom.
And that's exactly what we were just calling
But
it
can't
at
you-
the MML.
Can't you put it on, can't you
On your
put it
Facebook
on
page.
TV, I mean, the camera and all that out there, put it on?
That would mean I'd have to go.
Huh? No, I'm not talking about you. I'm just looking at you.
Good point.
Thank you.
He can do his own live, whatever.
Then I was pointing
He
at
can do live.
camera.
That's enabling it. I don't think we need to go that far, but as far as just looking at, they're saying that if we know about it, it's open to
If you
everybody.
can't attend it, here it is.
Because we will hear about it later.
Just for the benefit, make a disclaimer, the town has nothing to do with it, it's not our.
Right.
Because it's true, Rachel, we don't know what his complaint is.
He didn't share that.
I made a joke at the meeting, I said, if you want comments, just take the sign, AT&T, put it out there.
That's a good idea.
If you make me a
Anybody
poster,
draw
I'll
it?
put it around, I'll spread it around town. Make posters, I'll stick them.
Okay. Anything else?
Posters.
My comment.
We want you to be police.
Do I have a motion to go into executive session as provided under general provisions, Article 3-305B8? Consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you guys for coming.
Yes, thank you.